everybody, welcome back to my Daily Dose with Tim. Today is season 2, episode 23, and it is also part 2. As you can see, I kind of scratched that out now. You know I've been starting this trend where I'm looking to save a little bit more of a flip chart. So today is the part 2 of 5 ways to financial freedom in 5 years or less. So yesterday we actually set down some foundations and I went a little bit more than 20 minutes. However, I really just wanted to make sure that everybody understands how important it is to actually make it a priority. Because I understand it is one of those things that so many people think that it sounds like a great idea. Like, who doesn't want financial freedom? Who does not want to be able to pay bills and enjoy life and have our time back without the hassle of having to hit the snooze buttons in the morning, maybe deal with office politics, or have horrible bosses, or basically just having to deal with commutes, or time away from our family and our kids. Whatever the case may be, to a lot of people, it sounds like an amazing, phenomenal idea, which it really is. So once you get to this side of the fence, you will know what I'm saying. However, I also want to share this with you, though, is the fact that over the last decade or so now, what I've really noticed is that what most people lack is truly understand why they actually want it. So if you're a parent, I think this might be a really easy and simple way to explain this, is if you're a parent and you've been a parent, you remember when your kids were 3 years old, 4 years old, 5 years old, or maybe they were even older when this was happening. However, remember those times when you tell your kids, eat your veggies, eat your greens, eat that, colorful stuff on your plate. And they're going, no, I don't wanna. Remember that? Okay. That's the funny thing about financial freedom and financial independence, or really getting financially educated for a lot of people so that they can achieve that goal for them. It's the fact that when you think about those kids, okay, what's your first reaction is, well, it's so good for you. Why wouldn't you want it? After a while, you give up the fight because they won't budge. And all of a sudden you go, you know what? That's totally okay. Don't eat your greens. Don't eat your vegetables. What do you want? And then they go, I don't know. I just don't want this. And what I've noticed is that a lot of the adults, we sort of get into that situation where we kind of forget what it is that we're really chasing after, that we're going after, what life is really about. And so this is why we focus so much on really helping you figure out your why, your purpose, your intention, and what you're really here to do with the limited time that you have on this planet. And so again, I keep saying that I feel like my heart attacks at a young age really was what taught me that time is truly valuable, time is truly precious, and it is limited on this planet. Again, if you want to argue what science is going to come up with, maybe we'll save that for another time. However, the whole point is you got to understand, and this is a concept that is so important, because so many of us were raised thinking time is money. Time is money. You know what? You know who thinks time is money? Those who are trading hours for dollars. Who trades hours for dollars all the time? Middle class and poor mindset people. And we're here to learn how to break away from that so that you can live a different life. Remember yesterday we talked about if you want something you've never had, you gotta do something you've never done. And this is why this is so important. And I recommended the Vision Board app for a lot of you guys. Make sure that you do that. Or if you're old school like me, I have a lot of pictures. Yes, I still print out pictures from my phones, from my computers, and I put them on a cork board, and that board is actually in my room. Every morning when I wake up, I walk by it. Every time I have to go into my room to do anything, I walk by it. It reminds me of what my purpose is. It reminds me of why I actually get out of bed every single day feeling really enthusiastic, very passionate, very charged, because that's my purpose. And there's a lot of things that are on that board that are just really amazing. However, what's amazing to me may not be amazing to you. And that's why yesterday we also talked about, depends on what your reasons may be. If you can help me expand on this list, please text me, please make a comment. I would really appreciate that. It's just that over the last few years, I've really kind of funneled them down into these 5 main categories or 5 main reasons. And as the next few episodes go on, the next few parts go on the same topic, you will also notice that a lot of the times they actually overlap each other a little bit, okay? And so once again, when it comes down to your why, we always say that if your why doesn't make you cry, it's not big enough. And so I know for some of us, this might require a bottle of wine or a bottle of whiskey one of these nights for you maybe, but do whatever it takes so that you can make sure that once you understand, once you got that lightning bolt of a moment hitting you, that this is what I truly want to do. Remember, complete the sentence. If money was no issue, my purpose in life is. If you can complete that sentence, tag it over there, and off we go. Okay, that's when the real work begins. That's when the real work begins. And so, now that we've got that done and out of the way, the first thing that I'm going to share with you, and this is actually a plan that's very, very common to a lot of us. And I'm not going to lie, because a lot of you know my story, was that I actually got enrolled into financial education. I started taking classes. I was still working a very, very physically demanding full-time corporate job. And by physically, I don't mean I was doing hard labor work per se. I was doing office work. However, I was doing a lot of overtime and a lot of traveling. And so as a result, about a year after my financial education journey started, I got my 3rd minor heart attack that actually prompted me to have to go on disability and go on leave, basically. And I was on leave for nearly a year. And 2 weeks right after I returned back to work, I got laid off. My entire department, I mean, it wasn't just me, my entire department basically disappeared just like that. And so the funny thing is, during the time that I was laid off, I already started applying what I was learning. And that's why the day that I declared financial freedom happens to be the day I was laid off from my corporate job. And so I never got the joy of, walking away from the job. And at the end of the day, I actually, you know what, looking back, I don't know if I would actually have walked away at that particular point yet, because like a lot of you guys, I actually enjoy what I was doing, just didn't really so much enjoy the office politics. So the point is, this plan that I'm going to show you today is fairly common amongst the students that I've worked with and a lot of investors who got into this industry. And first thing first, though, I always want to stress the fact that I don't equate financial freedom to quitting your job. I never do. Why? Simply because of the fact that, ultimately speaking, financial freedom, in my opinion, is really about creating financial security, financial confidence, financial independence, meaning you do not have to rely on anybody else to give you a paycheck for you to survive and for you to thrive in life, okay? And so ultimately speaking, it's always been about multiple streams of income. Multiple streams of income. This is what I want to really stress on. And it just so happens that when it comes to real estate, if you've been following me this long now, ever since season 1, then you understand I like to leverage this little graph. I always like to keep things very, very simple, in case you haven't noticed, because it is simple. And that's the funny thing, is that some people think it's too hard, and I like to simplify things for you. However, there are also people that oversimplify things to the point that they make mistakes on their own as well. So let's just make sure that we come back to the basics first and we understand what is happening here. So this plan right now is not so much of a huge goal-driven plan. This is a very common plan in the sense that maybe I'll paint you a picture right now, okay? Remember, our goal from yesterday is $5,000 in passive income a month, or in total, let's just say $60,000 in additional income for your household per year. And I'm quoting everything Canadian dollars at the moment. However, these numbers could actually apply in the US and in a lot of the, I'm just gonna say, English-speaking countries that I know of and have been to and taught in, really. And so the point is, this plan includes most people, or 2 incomes, keeping their JOBs, okay? And that's totally fine. And this includes people doing wholesale deals. That Wholesale falls under earned income because effectively, and I hope that you guys had a chance to come to the September wholesale bootcamp that we did. Well, that was just about a month ago. And I always say that I actually don't focus on wholesale as an investor myself. That has never truly been a main focus. However, wholesale, in my opinion, is one of the most foundational strategies that everybody just needs to learn and needs to understand, simply because of the fact that, hey, you know what? If the deal is not fitting of your current business plan, then you can at least flip that out to somebody. Okay, because somebody else might have the resources to close on it. So I just want to make that very clear. I always say that you only wholesale out a deal when these two things happen. Number one, the deal itself does not contribute to your business plan that year. The business plan that you have worked on with your coach or your mentor. Okay, so you stay focused. Number two, you do not have the immediate resources to close on it. So depending on how you're looking at this, either way, wholesale in the circle of wealth or the wheel of wealth falls under their earned income bucket, because you still need to have the time. For some of us, if you're focusing on wholesaling, that means you need to make the time to do your advertising, your marketing, and you got to comb through leads, you got to qualify them, you got to do your deal analysis, and you got to build your buyers database as well, and you got to go out and market those deals to them. And once the deal has been successfully assigned or wholesaled out, then you collect a wholesale fee. So does that sound like trading hours for dollars? Yes, that's what the definition of earned income is. So within the circle of wealth, that is what we're talking about here, okay? And then when it comes to passive, you can do lease options, and you can also do some private lending. So funny enough, private lending. This is actually a very, very standard and very simple structure for most of us. I'm going to say Canadians, but what I really want to say is North Americans in this case can actually apply. Why? Here, and yesterday I also tagged season 1 episode 27 as well on a strategy session. So today and the next few days, what we're doing is really turning that strategy session into more customized plans. Okay, if you have a very solid goal that you want to hit, or in this particular case, honestly, because as I said yesterday, 5 different ways to achieve financial freedoms in 5 years or less, you're gonna see why very quickly. So for example, let's just say that we park that income for a little bit. Okay, let's not even think about it, because what if we lost that? Because we don't really have any control over that. So the point is, right here, you do have that income still coming in, okay? And if you've been following this season so far, remember, I keep on stressing, the whole idea is to make sure that your circle of wealth or your wheel of wealth is running smoothly. If you have like edges, or if the buckets are not filled properly and proportionally, it's going to be a very bumpy road financially speaking for you, okay? That's the best analogy that I can come up with at the moment with this. So help me out if you got anything else. But the point is, let's say, for example, if your first year, because you're still fairly new, you're getting yourselves educated and you're learning how to find great deals and you're building your database and you're not doing a whole lot yet. However, let's just say we set a baseline that on average, each wholesale deal will garner you $5,000 in net income, and you decide that you want to do 4 of those. It's actually not very difficult once you actually know how to do this. So that is about $20,000. $20,000 a year in additional income right there. You have 12 months to complete 4 deals. So basically every quarter you have to assign 1 deal out, okay, and make $5,000 per deal. And then you have lease options. So in this country right now, again, depending on the markets, and once you actually come to, by the way, we have a free bootcamp on lease options in November, starting November 10th for 5 days straight, almost 12 hours in planned content and daily coaching coming your way. So if this is something that you want to learn, make sure that you register into that free bootcamp as well. However, the point is, I'm just going to use Canadian numbers at this point right now. And average lease options, depending on the market that you're in, typically will generate about $600 to about $800 per month worth of cash flow. That's an average, okay? So let's just say that you're in parts of the market where you're able to get something a little bit higher. That's totally fine. And some markets might be a little bit lower, completely up to you, okay? Remember S&P. Let your strategies determine which markets you want to focus on that you're comfortable with. There's no right or wrong answers here. And that's what I love about this, is that every plan, every person's financial freedom plan can be so tailored and 100% customizable based on the resources you have available, the goals that you want to hit, and the amount of time you're allowing yourself to hit those goals. And so let's just say that we're looking at $800 a month. And let's just assume that you actually currently do not have the personal resources to actually close on these deals. Sounds familiar? Most of us are in perpetual rat race. Even when I was making six-figure income, everybody thought I was flying high. Yes, I was flying high, but that's also because my expenses level pretty much rolled in the same direction as my revenue, as my income. And so what that really means is that I had no additional resources. And so most people, when they first start this journey, even though they're two-job incomes, a lot of the times you make $100, you probably are spending $99, okay? And that's if you're very diligent with your money. And so let's say you have to do joint venture partnerships. So you do two of these. So that means you get 50% of the 800, which is 400. And funny enough, that comes back up to $800 per month on a monthly basis. And assuming that you have some register funds where you have some cash lying around, okay? Assuming that you have, say, $50,000. You have $50,000 right now. And then on average, you're lending it out in private lending at 10% on average. So that's $5,000 a month. You know what? I'm going to bring it up to 12% just because it works out to be 1% per month and simple interest. So what that means is on a monthly basis, it's $500 in income. So let's add it all up, shall we? Okay, I know not every deal is going to happen on the same day at the same time. However, for demonstration's sake, let's just say that year one, everything's happening at the same time, so that year two, we can do the same structure, okay? So $800 a month, basically times 12 months, plus $500 a month times 12 months, so $6,000, plus the $20,000 here. So what that really means is that you have added a total income of $35,600. $35,600 a year into either your real estate business or into your income bucket, period. So divide that again by 12 months. You're looking at about $2,966 per month. So nearly $3,000. And let's not forget, this is pretty much your net amount at this point. There will be some business expenses that we're omitting at the moment. However, I just want you to look at that number. At this particular point in time, most university grads are graduating school, and their first jobs across Canada is paying them anywhere between $32,000 to about $45,000. Okay, that's if you have a bachelor's degree. So if you've got higher degrees, let's not split hair at the moment. I just want you to really think about that. And even if you are getting paid $42,000 a year from your job right now, after taxes, after CPP, after a lot of different contributions, what are you actually taking home? And so what I'm showing you here is that while this is not exactly fully life-changing yet, for most people, for some people, this can effectively replace their income already, especially if you have a household of 2 income jobs. A lot of the times, what we typically plan to do is we will plan to free up the person between the two that makes the lower income first. Because why? The whole idea about doing this is that you can free up your time, okay, then now you have choices whether or not you want to stay in that job, because you might have other projects, you might have other careers that you want to pursue, but you were too scared, or you were scared because you don't have money coming in. You have to pay the bills. So this is something that I really want to share with you right now. This is just year one, okay? So let's build upon it. Year two, assuming, okay, I'm going to use a different color so it's a lot easier to add. So assuming year two, you're getting a little bit better at running your wholesale side of the strategy. So year two, why don't we say you're going to wholesale stream number one, and then you're going to wholesale each deal instead of 5,000 now, because maybe you've treated your clients really well and they're telling others about you, and you do bring quality deals to the table. Remember, if you bring quality deals to the table, this is how you grow your business exponentially very quickly. So assuming it's not 5,000 anymore, you're giving yourself a bit of a raise. 5,000 to 6,000 per deal. That's a 20% raise. When was the last time you got a 20% raise based on somebody else's opinion and assessment of you and your performance? Okay, so $6,000, and instead of doing 4, you are thinking, hey, I'm actually more efficient now. I got a system going, I got a database going, so I'm gonna do 6. So you can see I'm still being very conservative right now. I'm never saying that, hey, you know what, you gotta be doing double, or the whole 10x thing that's been going around. I very much like building a solid foundation. Don't get me wrong, I love setting high goals. However, at the same time, this is your money and your financial security and independence and freedom we're talking about here. I just want to map it out so you guys can really see, because I've been saying this is a lot more attainable than most people think, and there's still people that want to argue with me, and that's totally fine. Okay, I'm not here to argue with you. I'm here to present to you what has worked, what I have personally seen work, not just for me, but for many others around the globe. Okay, so you're going to do 6 of these. That means there's 36,000 coming in. And then number 2, okay, number 2 here, you got lease options. So you already got $800 per month still coming in, because most lease options deals last anywhere between 2 to 4 years. So you should still be having the cash flow. And then what you're going to do is, once again, you're not going to kill yourself over this, because as you grow your other business, as you ramp up your marketing efforts, you might be getting other types of opportunities as we go too. So we're going to add, let's just say 2 more. Again, how's that? Because you might be spending a little bit more time there, I don't know. But let's just say another 800, which means you gotta add the 800 from year 1 in here once again. And number 3, you still got some money rolling in there on average. Private lending, okay, so $5,000 for the year. The $6,000, again, you can re-roll it back or you can spend it however you want to do this, okay? The whole point is, if you add it all up now, year 2, okay, so you got 800 plus 800 times 12 months now, plus 36,000, and then plus the 5,000 here. That means you've added an additional 60,200 a year into your circle of wealth. And that's money that you can utilize right away if you choose to. So divided by 12, you have $5,016 on a monthly basis on average. So yesterday we said that basically it's 5 ways to financial freedom in 5 years or less to help you achieve on average $5,000 in additional income on a monthly basis. So this is what we typically call financial freedom, not exactly, financial independence, not exactly financial freedom yet, because remember, financial freedom by definition is your passive income needing to exceed your $5,000 mark, okay? So we can keep going right now. However, I'm just noticing the time. What I'm going to do is I'm going to build upon this one tomorrow so that you guys can continue to follow along. I just want to make sure that you can see everything here. Oops. There we go. So that you can still follow along tomorrow. Now, you can see how easy and how streamlined this whole process can be as long as you actually have a plan. There's so many different ways to actually structure this plan. If you go back to season 1, episode 27, once again, you will notice another way that we assess lease option is that on average, each lease option should generate an average return of $20,000 a year. $20,000 a year. However, right now, we're only taking the monthly passive income into calculations at the moment. Okay, so we're going to build upon this tomorrow. However, this is a very, very simple yet popular way of how a lot of us North Americans are approaching this, because not all of us hate our jobs. And even when we achieve financial freedom or financial independence, it doesn't necessarily mean that we're just going to go and walk into the office and tell our bosses to go pound sand the next day, right? So the whole point is I will keep building upon this, and we will get to the point where you will see 5 different ways to hit financial freedoms in 5 years or less. So hopefully this was a good start for you, and I really appreciate your comments, your love, and your shares. And depending on which group and which country, which city, whichever time zone you're coming from and you're watching this at, give me some love. And I already enjoy a lot of the comments and the love and the likes that you've been giving me. And most importantly, though, I really appreciate you guys sharing this with others, because that is really my end goal here, is to help elevate financial education for as many people as I possibly can. And I appreciate your support, and I appreciate your love in sharing my message and my voice with everybody else. So with that being said, I will see you back here tomorrow, and have a great evening, because it's evening time, my time now, and live well, everybody.